also for resisting arrest and for assault of a police officer as well in the course of his duty. They will face some jail time, no doubt, when all this is brought to an end in hours or maybe days from now, when they all face the courts and criminal charges, Zane.
John Voss, Jim Clancy, I just want to ask you to stay there. We're going to continue to watch this scene as it plays out. We welcome our viewers around the world and in the United States as well. This is a scene that is important for a number of reasons. It's important as in Washington as it is perhaps in Tel Aviv. It is the first move by Israel, a voluntary move to back away from a policy of settlements and occupations. It only affects Gaza and some small parts of the West Bank, but a significant move by Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. Israel, over the last 3 decades, has poured billions of dollars into settlements, arguing, of course, that it was vital for Israel's security. This year, U.S. taxpayers are going to be asked for an additional $2 billion over the coming 4 years, not for settlements, but to help accommodate some of the ex-settlers, if you will. It's important what this means for the roadmap of President Bush. And just as important is the outcome with that roadmap, the outcome for the Palestinians. Very critical. Once the Israelis pull out of Gaza, will the Palestinian Authority be able to establish a government, establish law and order here? But today, the focus very much on the scenes that we're looking at right now. That is the pullout itself. A dramatic day for Israelis. Whether they were supporters of the settlers or not, they watched as successive governments sent them into the West Bank, sent them into Gaza, and today the government is forcing them out. Zane?
Danny Ayalon is Israel's ambassador to the United States. He joins us now. How hard is it for you to watch this?
Oh, it's gut-wrenching. It's very hard. It's very sentimental. And I think it gives your viewers worldwide really a chance to firsthand understand and appreciate the sacrifice for Israel, for all Israelis. And I think also to appreciate the great courage of Prime Minister Sharon of taking this very hard decision and implement it. And these are really historic days for Israel, for the region on its entirety. But sometimes history is made with pain, and we can certainly see it today.
Will you be able to get everyone out by sundown on Friday?
Well, this is the goal, and also I think we can all appreciate the well-disciplined manner and the respectable manner and the professional manner of the Israeli IDF and security and the soldiers. It's gut-wrenching for them. I think this is one case in history where both sides of the divide are grieving for the same reason. And there are tears on both sides. There are hard feelings on both sides. Yet our soldiers, our young, brave guys go there unarmed. The only arm they have is maybe water and paint. And they realize that they have a task to do, and they will do it with compassion, with patience. As you see, they take them out one by one, but the mission will be complete, hopefully sooner than later, and also hopefully without any bloodshed. I think this is also very important, and I expect that this will go at the end without any bloodshed.
A lot of these protesters in Kfar Darom on the rooftop of the synagogue have been able to sneak in past checkpoints, many of them from the West Bank coming here.
Yes, and they are breaching the law because as of the 15th of August, 3 days ago, the area was cordoned off and no Israelis lawfully can go in. So we certainly will have to deal with it because with all the pain and with all the demonstrations, and as you know, Israel is a very vibrant democracy, and we understand dissension. We understand very vigorous debate. We even understand action, going to the streets with demonstrations. But the extent is, the tolerable extent is of not breaking the law. And the law will be upheld and we will deal with them when the time comes.
You called it a historic moment for Israel. Palestinians looking at this say, well, you know, these settlements are illegal under international law. This has been stolen from Gaza, and they say, yes, it's historic, but this is a historic misdeed.
Well, I think it will be well advised for the Palestinians not only to show compassion, but also be forward-looking. I don't want to dwell about the past. If I deal with the past, there has never ever been a Palestinian state in the region. The land has always been under either Jewish sovereignty, it was a Jewish land, it was presence of Jews throughout the millennia. But let's don't dwell on the past, but look forward. And I think as Israel is doing this great sacrifice and this painful process, we would expect the Palestinians to take responsibility and just make good on not what is just being demanded or expected by the international community, what they have committed to do according to the roadmap. And this is to fight terror, to do away with terror, to dismantle terrorism so there's no potential of terrorism in the future, to change the entire culture of hate and incitement, to preach for coexistence, for peaceful coexistence, and with reforms that will hopefully create an authority with one authority, with the rule of law and with the one gun. Then we can certainly look into the future, hopefully with optimism. With all the pain we're undergoing now, with all the sacrifice that we're putting, I think we all in the region deserve a better future, and I hope the time will show that it has all been worthwhile. But now it's for the Palestinians to show the same kind of responsibility, seriousness, and courage as we move along.
Ambassador Ayalon, we want to take a moment and look at some of these pictures and what is happening in Kfar Darom. Well-trained Israeli police have been cutting away at barbed wire. They are climbing onto the rooftop where there are protesters that have come in from the West Bank and some of them from Jerusalem, refusing to leave. Earlier on, there was a water cannon, a blue dye that was sprayed on these protesters. A crane lifted a container that had riot police with batons onto the rooftop. And this is the scene now on the rooftop above the synagogue in Kfar Darom. One by one, each of these protesters will be dragged away. Ambassador Ayalon, you talk about the future of Israel, of the Palestinians, and what both sides deserve. The Palestinian economy is crucial in Gaza to the success of disengagement also. Will Israel allow the Palestinians control of their airports, their airspace, the seaport, borders? Because that's critical.
Yes, well, Zain, our goal, our objective, our interest, and this is important to emphasize, it's Israel's interest to have Gaza open and free and prosperous. And to the extent possible, we will do everything we need to do. But in order for Gaza to be open and prosperous, it also has to be secure. And we have to be secure. So this is what we expect the Palestinians to do, to make sure that there is no terror there, not now and not in the future. They certainly can control the situation. I would say that as far as Israel's contributions, we have been very, I think, forthcoming by leaving infrastructures intact. And there was a very important agreement that was reached with the help of Jimmy Wolfensohn, the former president of the World Bank, who is the economic envoy there. And we are leaving them greenhouses with potential 10,000 places of work. You know, they have large families, so 10,000 people there, jobs, can sustain 100,000, almost 10% of the entire population. We would like them to succeed, but they have to take matters into their hand to show that they are responsible in good governance, in economic reforms, no corruptions, and the international community stands by to help.
The Palestinian Authority has said, yes, we have to go in and take control. However, Israel has been running the show and controlling these environments for so long that there is no infrastructure for them to set up and operate effectively and efficiently with. And they say that that's going to take time. They also say that this is a ploy by Israel to keep the West Bank, to take off international pressure on Israel, so Israel has time to do what it wants. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would say if you see in the scenes what we're undergoing, to claim that we do it for a ploy or for some kind of benefits, short-term benefits, I think this is really not serious. And I think that they should take a very responsible stance here and looking into what they can do and not look into the others, but look into what they can do. I think Palestinians have a chance starting next week, next month, to wake up every morning and say, what can we do to help ourselves? And as I mentioned, Israel stands ready to help. The international community is helping. There were $9 billion commitments of G8 countries to help the Palestinian economy. As we are living, we are not living behind scorched earth. On the contrary, there is infrastructure, there are jobs, greenhouses. We left them with maps and other facilities that we can help. We will still be supplying them all their basic needs with electricity and water. And certainly we would like to work together on joint projects.
Like what?
Like industrial zones, building together. But they have a chance now, with all this area that we have left. They have a great chance now to start constructions right away. Now constructions with masonry and architects and woodwork and whatever can supply thousands, if not more, jobs right away. They have the money to do it, they have the area to do it, they have the facilities. They can start right away to do it, and that can help them. And as I mentioned, it's our interest to see them prosperous. We are ready to cooperate. We want to cooperate. In a few months' time, there won't be any presence of Israelis there. The idea is also to ultimately leave the Philadelphia road, which is the border with Egypt, with the Sinai, where a lot of smuggling still goes on. The idea is to really be out, so entire responsibility will be for the Palestinians.
Many Palestinians also asking another question today, even though they are celebrating that this disengagement is underway. Why is it, they've asked, is Israel poured so much money into the settlements, so much money here at such great cost to both sides?
Well, we're talking about policies and practices for now decades. I think there was a reason for it. There was a different situation at the time. Aside of the ideology and the right, and I think we have to respect the historic rights that the Jews in this part of the land as well. But we have to be realistic. And this is the ultimate test for leaders, not just Israeli leaders, but leaders in the region. And this is to bridge between the, let's say, the national aspirations and historic dreams to realities. Realities have changed. We understand that there is no future for Jewish presence in Gaza. Demography speaks. We are out. But it's important also at the same time to emphasize that nobody forced us to take this decision, nobody pushed us out. It was an independent, sovereign Israeli decision. As hard as it is, it was the necessary decision, and at the same time, it gives a great opportunity for a paradigm shift in the area. And as I mentioned before, I don't want to repeat myself, we hope that the Palestinian leadership will assume responsibilities and will be very critical for the steps ahead.
Israel's ambassador to the United States, Danny Ayalon, thank you so much for speaking to us and giving us your perspective. Jim?
Let's go straight back to John Voss on the scene. John, I know that the Israeli army wants to finish this by nightfall. It appears they're on course to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah, give or take, Jim, they'll be pretty close to that. It appears that the police now have the upper hand. They've managed to clear away a good deal of the razor wire, which was stretched across the rooftops here. They now have men on the roof. The situation has calmed down considerably compared to the last 20 or 30 minutes or so. They've stopped throwing. The protesters have stopped throwing whatever they were throwing at the police. They've stopped throwing it. It appears to have had some kind of chemical agent in it right now. We're seeing the protesters being brought down, not from the stairs inside, but they've been loading them onto those containers that brought the riot police up in the first place. They've been bringing them down on those containers. They are